And back now, I think we've got John Funn, the columnist at the National Review. We were talking about the Fed. I got to tell you, John, that Board of Governors, they are completely divided when it comes to raising rates, what to do next. And now it's, 7 years into a zero-rate environment or near-zero-rate environment. What do you make of that?
The chair of the Federal Reserve, Janet Yellen, basically controls the board. The other members can carp, but they can't really move against her, and they never have in the past. I think we're trapped. I think that we are going to continue to see zero interest rates because for a while, because they're too scared of what the market does. Every time the Fed signals that they might change interest rates, the market might go down 400 or 500 points. I am really worried that we're in what Japan went through for 20 years and still is.
Wow. Okay, let me ask you this, though. Let me ask you this, though. So if the Fed is too scared to implement maybe a quarter-point rate hike, what does that say about our economy? I mean, if it's so, as the Atlanta Fed said, 0% growth, is that where we're at? Is that what's going to happen here?
No, I think that we've probably going to continue. Any economy that increases population and has some productivity increases is going to grow 2% a year. But this is half of what we did in the 1980s and half of what we did in the 1990s. And I think this is permanent stagnation, and that means lower living standards for Americans, no pay increases, and an entitlement crisis that's going to come much faster than we think, because most of our entitlements are going to come due 10 to 15 years as the baby boomers require. It's a recipe for fiscal crisis in about 10 years.
I think you've got that dead on. I think you're absolutely right. But I want to bring up one other concern about long-term zero interest rates here. Seniors are getting killed. I mean, look at the savings rates. People who are doing the right thing for people who are putting money aside for their retirement, college savings, people who are trying to get by under their own steam, do it themselves, not relying on the government. They're getting penalized here.
We used to encourage people to save for their children's college education. Now we're encouraging them to take on way too much debt. The federal government has a monopoly on that debt, and it's insane. You do the right thing, you get punished. You do the wrong thing, and there's somewhere a federal program that's going to bail you out or put you out of your troubles.
I completely agree. You know, we've been talking about this for some time, and now the presidential contenders are shaping up, and there's a lot of conversation about what should be done next, right? There's everything from audit the Fed to get rid of the IRS. Is it baby steps we should be taking here, or should it be something as dramatic as what Rand Paul is suggesting?
Well, comprehensive tax reform, everybody agrees in principle that we need it. We have the highest corporate tax rates in the world. It's hurting our economy. We should bring down the rates, and we should close the loopholes like Reagan and the Democrats did in a bipartisan way in the 1980s. And as for the Fed, the Fed has continually failed. The Fed was put in place to make sure that we didn't have boom and bust cycles. Well, maybe we don't have boom and bust cycles quite as often, but the stagnation lasts much longer. And I think we need to take a searching look at the Fed and whether or not, after 100 years, it passes the test of whether or not it stabilizes our economy. Clearly, it hasn't. And clearly, some adjustments need to be made. And the only person who's talking about it in a detailed way so far is Rand Paul, so kudos to him.
Long way to go. John, thanks for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.